Hello, in this video we're going to cover pre and post job coding. This is where you can actually write code pre and post job in order to accomplish different tasks during the execution of your job. In our original job here that we have built where we're loading a sales file into a transaction table, I'm also driving this sales file off of a parameter. Well, what if I want to check to see if that file exists before I process the data? Now, if that file did not exist, this job would abort anyway, but just for purposes of samples and coding and stuff, we're going to actually go out and write some code to figure out if the parameter that I passed in is the file name, check to see if it exists, and if it does not exist, I'm going to write some information to the log file. So this will cover a lot of different things. This is going to cover how to do pre-job code, how to get the value of a parameter in code, how to write to the log, the biz log. So we're going to cover a lot of different things here in a very short time. So if you double click anywhere in the white space of the job, you'll get the properties for the job. And up here at the top you have pre-job code and post-job code, and those are places where you can write your own code and fully in .NET to be able to do anything that you need to do in this job. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the pre-job code here. And what we want to do is we just want to check to see if the file exists that I'm passing in. So I'm going to create a variable here called file name. And then I need to go out and I need to pull the parameter value that the user put in when they executed the job. So I want to know what parameter value did they put in. And there's a function in Blue Sky Integration Studio called getParameterValue. And you simply just give it the name of the parameter that you used. In this case, we used the parameter name file name. So that'll go out and get the parameter value that the user put in when they executed the job. And then I want to check to see if that file exists. So I can say if, this is all standard .NET type stuff here, systemio.file.exists, and I can pass it the path and file name of the job. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm saying if the file name does not exist, then I want to output something to the biz log, to this particular job's log, and I want it to be an error. Okay, so there's functions out there that allow you to write to the biz log, and they're called log message error, and you just simply give it the message that you want to put into the log. So in this case I want to say file does not exist, and maybe I want to pass in or concatenate in the actual file name that we used. There's also log message informational. There's also log message warning, and there's also log message fatal. Okay, so I'll just kind of leave those in there for reference purposes. Okay, so now I got an error, the file does not exist, and I put something out to the log, but that necessarily won't abort my job. If I want to force my job to abort, I want to return one of the return status types from this function. So if you look up here where it says public function, pre-job code, I'm actually returning something called return status types. And that is the different types of return statuses that I can return. So here I just want to say return status types, and if I hit dot here I get aborted, finished, ready, running, stop, so I can return anything that I want. And in this case I want to abort the job, so I want to say return aborted. Now if I don't return anything, then the default status will still be running because I didn't do anything to it, I didn't change anything. So it'll just stay as it was previously. Okay, so again, this is all standard .NET type of code. I can do things like put my error handling in here if I want, my try catches. Okay. And if I, for instance, if I catch an error, I can also log that. I can say log message error. Oh, I got an extra S in there. And then I can pass it in my exception message. If I want, I can even concatenate some information in here, like pre-job code error, and then just concatenate in the actual error that occurred. And maybe I want to return aborted because I got an error. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and we'll run this. I'm going to go ahead and compile it first. Make sure we don't have any coding errors. Okay, that's good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this load transactions job, but I'm going to give it a file name that I know doesn't exist. I'm just going to come over here and say transactions2 and say OK, and that should force it to abort. Okay, so now we got an aborted. And if I go out and I look at that job here, if you look at the log, I come down here to my error, and that's the error that we wrote in the pre-job code. File does not exist, and I give it the actual name of the file that I passed in through the parameter. All right, so that's how you do pre-job code. There's also post-job code, so you can write code after the job finishes. There's also global job code. So what this is think of it as a program, and you need a global variable. So you could write something like public shared G counter as integer. And then throughout the life of the job, this variable will be there, and you can use it. Say, for instance, you want to count the number of records that you processed, or count the number of exceptions, or something like that. You could have a global variable that you could kind of increment as the records flow through the system. You can also initialize your variables here in the constructor of the job. So you can say counter equals 0. So this is your constructor area. Okay. So let's go ahead just for fun and create a coding error so you guys can see what does it look like when I get an actual error in my code. So let's say, for instance, I'm in C# brain, and I throw a semicolon here at the end of this line, and I go ahead and hit OK, and try to compile it. I'm going to get a compiler error here. So this is what the compiler errors look like. It'll kind of show you the code, and it'll highlight the error that you got, and then down here you got your error message says characters not valid, and it'll show you exactly where it is. Okay. Oh, okay. I got an error, so now I need to kind of jump back in here and fix it. Get rid of that and just recompile. Okay, so that's how you do the pre and post job code. You can write, again, it's just VB.NET code. You can write any kind of code that you want or need to do anything in your job. And that's it. Thanks.